Good morning. Welcome to another Sunday conversation. We're going to get right at it. We have a special guest. We got the Georgia Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger. We are in the Muskogee County Elections Office with a lot of election gadgets behind us. Welcome, sir.
Morning, Chuck. It's good to be with you.
Good to have you here. So were you in Columbus this week? Why are you in Columbus this week?
Right now, today, we're doing a health check of the election equipment. So we want to make sure that voters understand that the system is secure, it's battle tested, and really make sure everything's in place for the 2024 cycle.
How do you do that when you still have a large percentage of Georgians who think the 2020 election was fraudulent? How do you make sure that the equipment and the processes are in place?
Well, as it relates to the equipment, before the election, we'll do logic and accuracy testing, and then we'll do parallel monitoring next year during an actual election process. Right now, what we're doing is making sure that none of the equipment has been tampered with, and then we also check for physical security too, and then we give everyone a report card.
And you are doing this in every county in Georgia?
All 159 counties, and will be done sometime in December.
Is everybody passing so far?
Everyone's passing so far. A few counties need to work on some of that physical security, but we want every county commissioner to understand that we want to make sure their counties are fully funded, so that locks are in place and things like that. But as it relates to the equipment, everything has passed. Nothing has been tampered with, and we're just going through that process of verifying that.
Elections have become ground zero for conspiracy theories and for political debate. You didn't see that coming when you first took this job, right? I mean, this job has changed since you've had it over the last 6 years.
Yeah, it really has changed a lot. Maybe it's a sign of sometimes no one wants to ever, really fess up that they just did a bad job of doing something. So the political consultants are looking for excuses, and some of the candidates say, it can't be me. After all, I talked to my group of friends and they all loved me. And so I couldn't have lost that election. But at the end of the day, what we do is we respectfully and try as gently as possible, push back with facts and data. And if you look at what we said in the last, what we said 2.5 years ago, and our response to all the allegations, everything has been proven right. That we were right, we had the numbers, nothing happened at State Farm. There weren't thousands of dead people, there were just 4. There weren't 66,000 underage voters, there were 0. Things like that. We just continue calmly, rationally, push back with facts.
Yet there are people who want to go to marked paper ballots for the 2024 election, the presidential election. Do you think that's a good idea?
No, I don't. What they really want, their true end game actually, is hand-counted ballots that are hand-marked. That is their true end game. And actually in Mojave County, they just did a 3-day test run. That's Mojave County, Arizona. They did that test run, and they said, well, looks like our error rate would be about 5.5%. Now, we had 5 million people vote in 2020. Imagine a 5% error rate. That's 250,000 human errors that you would have. We had actually a human error of about 3,500. President Trump picked up about 3,500 votes when we went through that whole risk limiting audit and the 100% hand recount. And so our error rate with ballot marking devices, with the scanners doing the counting, are just extremely low. The machines are accurate, but humans still make some errors. And that's what we work on, is we work with the counties to make sure that their testing and their training for their poll workers is up to speed, so we can squeeze out any types of human error.
So what I'm kind of hearing, and tell me if I'm hearing this right, what you're saying is they can't be perfect, but you've got to get as close to perfect as you can.
Absolutely, and we've done that, worked hard on that. You look at House Bill 316, that allowed us and authorized the funding and the authority to go with a ballot marking device, so we could update our equipment, because we did not have a verifiable paper ballot until we had House Bill 316. So now everyone is voting with a paper ballot. That paper ballot is marked with a ballot marking device, so you know exactly who you voted for before you actually put that into the scanner. And then we obviously do logic and accuracy testing to make sure the scanners are recording it, ballot marking devices are working correctly, so everything is accurate on that. And then we do risk limiting audits. So House Bill 316 put in there that we had to do a risk limiting audit. And so after the election of 2020, I knew that the presidential race was the closest. That's the one that we did a risk limit audit. And we just didn't do it at a 90% risk limit. We did it at 100% because we recounted by hand all 5 million paper ballots, all the absentees, all the in-person earlies, all the election day. Did a 100% hand recount to entire state. And I don't think many people realize that we actually did a hand recount of every single paper ballot in 2020.
I watched it. I know. I watched it in this building here.
And so we followed that up with SB 202, which added additional risk limiting audits for other races, like a state rep, state senator. And then this past session, we had additional risk limiting audits. And we think audits are a good thing. It does two things. It verifies that the machines were accurate, and it also verifies here are the results. We understand it's a polarized time out there, but we're going to show to the voters that these are the accurate results.
Real quick, I want to get to your office does more than just elections, obviously. You've got some licensing measures going on in your office right now. Tell me a little bit about those.
Well, perhaps two major initiatives. Number one is we are updating the software. It's over 20 years old. MLO's worked great for us, but sometimes these systems just age out. So we're using the backbone of Salesforce, and then we also have a security protocols as stringent and as strenuous as what they use for Department of Defense. So it's really that avenue. Then we have MPX's the software that builds it out for us. That should all be up and running for 100% of all of our professional license boards and license holders by next spring. We're doing that part just to really streamline what we do. But now we also have a licensing reform commission that I formed. It's bipartisan, 4 senators, 4 Democrats total, and 4 Republicans total, and then we also have 4 reps. So it's bipartisan. We have election board members, then we have the Georgia Chamber, the Savannah Chamber, Metro Atlanta Chamber. So the chambers are really reaching out to their business owners so they can speak. What do we need to do to improve the licensing process? So yesterday we heard from many people in the health sector, nurses, psychologists, social workers. We'll also dig into all these other licensed professions. What can we do to streamline to make sure that Georgia is a great place, not just to build a business, but to actually earn your living through a profession?
Thank you for that. You're watching the Sunday Conversation. Our guest is Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with some more questions. Welcome back to another Sunday Conversation. We're with Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger. We've been talking about elections. We've been talking about licensing. Now I want to talk about the juicy stuff.
Oh,
You probably knew these questions were coming. Former President Donald Trump, who has made you a target of his criticism since 2020 when he lost the Georgia election by more than 11,000 votes, has been indicted federally for what happened on for the allegations into what happened on January 6th. There is a likely indictment coming in Fulton County. Former President Trump has continued to attack you, and you a couple of months ago said you would debate him anywhere, anytime, or no, not anywhere. You would debate him with your facts against his facts. Did he accept your challenge for a debate?
I hadn't heard back from him yet, but maybe perhaps someday he'll want to meet me at the Reagan Library. It'd be a great place to have a debate.
As you watch this unfold in legal circles right now, federally, and now it's coming to downtown Atlanta, to the Fulton County Courthouse, it looks like. You were there on that phone call, and you are a witness, and it is evidence in these cases. What's in your mind right now as you watch this whole thing play out legally?
Well, it's like I think former Attorney General Barr said, the political cycle is a lot shorter than the legal cycle. It's been over 2.5 years. And it's like a slow moving train. It just continues to roll on. But I think by and large, many of the American people have moved on. They're worried about where we are right now, economic opportunity for themselves, inflation, just the issues that are pocketbook issues. And I think so many people have moved on, and so many people are still, a segment of society is back there looking in the past. And then obviously the legal process has to kind of do what they do. But we're continuing on. We're actually preparing for the 2024 cycle. We want everyone to understand that we're going to have accessible, secure, accurate elections.
How hard is it to prepare for the 2024 election cycle when you are still having to deal legally with what happened 2020?
Well, I don't get distracted by that. Our top priority is election security, and that's been my top priority since day one. So we have a verifiable paper ballot. No matter how you vote in Georgia, it'll be based on photo ID. Vote absentee, photo ID, just like early voting. And now, if you want to vote early voting, your employer, with a new law that we put in place this past session, they have to give you time off. But 65% of all voters are voting early, and you have 2 days of Saturday voting, and then you also have election day voting. So people have lots of opportunities to vote. We expect big turnout, and it's really preparing the counties and getting them prepared that this could be like a 2020 race where you have 5 million people show up to vote, and I think it's better to prepare for big numbers, and I think people should be prepared that it could be contentious. So if it's not, you can always accept that happy result. But if it is contentious, then you're battle tested, and many of the counties have been battle tested.
Do you have any personal thoughts about the federal indictment and the likely Georgia indictment of the former president?
No, I think it's a legal process, and that is their process. And my process is really making sure we have fair and honest elections here in Georgia, making sure we can continue to work on licensing reform, and whatever we can do to streamline corporations. People get a choice; they can renew their corporations for up to 1, 2, or 3 years. I'm actually excited that I'm the chair of the Georgia Boxing Commission, which includes Ultimate Championship fighting. So I just welcome Elon Musk and you know. and Zuckerberg, maybe they would want to have that match in Georgia. And so I think that would be exciting. So I don't know how I got become the chair of the Georgia Boxing Commission, but courtesy of the General Assembly.
So did you just turn a Donald Trump question into an Elon Musk answer?
I don't know if I did or didn't. I just was saying we got an awful lot on our plate. We have a very broad mandate in our office to look after securities and charities, corporations, professional licensing, and elections. And most people tend to focus on elections because I understand that's really important to everyone. Well, I understand how important it is, and I understand how polarized things is. I get that, but we focus in on what we can control, and our top priority is making sure we have safe, secure, accurate elections.
Fascinating. Speaking of elections, you've been elected twice. You were, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the top Republican vote getter on the top vote getter on the ballot in the 2022 election. Is that accurate? I think it is. I think you got more votes than anybody.
No, the governor got more votes than I did.
Okay.
My winning percentage was a little bit higher than the governor. But I saw where he did a little bit better than me, so it gives me something to strive towards. The governor has really led well, and the people really like our governor.
Give me your opinion of the way Governor Kemp has led the state of Georgia.
Tremendous job. If you look at what he's done for economic development, it's really more than 50%. A large percentage of this has been spread throughout the entire state. So from Dalton, Georgia down to Savannah, Georgia, it's something that was just announced recently in Albany. So it's been spread all over the state. Yes, Metro Atlanta's got something, but most of it's been outside the state. Those are jobs for Georgians, good paying jobs, and that's a good thing. And they're really not jobs anymore. When you start making $60,000, $70,000, $80,000, that's a career. And that really can help a family. So that's a tremendous opportunity for all Georgians. But I also then think that he's done a great job, that we've run some surpluses through conservative budgeting. And so he's given that back to taxpayers. And so really he's just done a great job, and he's led well, as I said.
Some of the pundits are saying that he could get pulled in as a potential candidate into the 2024 Republican presidential race. What are your thoughts on that?
I'd support that because if you look at speaking as a Republican, not as a Secretary of State, but speaking as a Republican conservative, I think that it's very important that whoever wants to be the next president will have to win in Georgia, and having Governor Kemp on that ticket would ensure that this state does go for a Republican.
So you are one of these guys that is interested in him as the break glass in case of emergency candidate, right?
No, I don't think that. I think it's a positive, choice that you get to have It's not, choosing the lesser of two evils like we're looking at right now. It's actually having someone that's done something positive for the people of their state and actually leads well and has the right tone, the right message that can really build a broad-based coalition, not just like he did in Georgia and also what I've done, but what he has done in Georgia, but build it nationwide. I think he can take those cowboy boots out to Arizona and he can win him some votes.
So to be clear, you would like to see him get in the race.
I like Brian Kemp. I like Governor Kemp. And I guess I slipped up there, not meaning any disrespect to the governor, but people call him by his first name all over Georgia because they trust him, they like him, they can have a beer with him. He's a good man.
Last question. We're getting near the end of this. I didn't prep for the Elon Musk answer. I was not ready for that. Last question coming at you.
I don't think Elon Musk has prepped. I understand he's got to lift some weights. That other guy's got about 10 years on him. Elon's 52. I hear the other fellow's, 32, something like that. So, you better work out hard.
You may help me make national news again. Last question. What are your political aspirations? I mean, you're a year into your second term. You are being talked about as a potential gubernatorial candidate, potential Senate candidate, any number of offices. Are you putting together the machinery and considering a run for something in 2026?
Oh, Chuck, you try so hard. But 2024 is what's on our radar screen right now. Let's do that. Let's accomplish that one day at a time. Because I think what people are looking for is this, they understand how important 2024 is, and they want to make sure that they can, be confident that we'll have safe, secure, accurate, and honest elections. So that's my top priority, is delivering that and keeping those lines short. You saw that UGA poll that came out with MIT. Over 90% of all Georgians, over 90%, feel that we have accurate and they're very confident in our process and had a great voter experience. So, I'm chasing Chick-fil-A to keep those lines short because I know they do that. They double-deckered their lines, and that's a tremendous benefit for them. Well, we want to keep lines shorter than 1 hour, and the counties have delivered on that. We work with the counties hard to make sure that they can deliver short lines, and we make sure that the counties are working hard every day. That's a top priority for accurate, honest, accessible elections.
So January 1st, 2027, you aren't going fishing, are you?
Well, you never know what I'm going to be doing. That's a long ways away. But Trish and I, whatever we'll be doing, hopefully we'll be doing it together someplace. We have a few trips planned. My wife's a photographer, and that lets us see all over the country and, tremendous spots. And we like to travel and enjoy those moments. So you'd have to check with her on January 1st, 2027.
I will. Mr. Secretary, thank you for your time. I appreciate it. You've been watching another Sunday Conversation. We're sitting here with Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, and very interesting interview. Come back next week. There's no telling who will be sitting in this chair or who will be fighting MMA or whatever they fight. Thank you for watching.